here's why most people get fat. Now, people in America are pretty fat, right? One of the main factors are because the food, right? America food has so much processed sugar, so much artificial flavors, artificial dyes, seed oils, etc. That's one of the main reasons why people in America are fat, right? But recently I discovered that there's actually different things that cause people to get fat. And there are reasons that people don't really mention, but are the reason on why most people are fat, right? And for context, I used to be fat as well once in my life. I used to be the kid who would people would say, "Oh, it's that one fat kid," right? Like during quarantine, I would literally eat hot Cheetos and frosted flakes and just so much sugar, right? So I understand how it feels like to be fat, right? But thank God now I completely transformed my entire life and I take fitness very serious. I eat better. I hit the gym more consistently and I just overall focus on my health much more than I did before, right? So in today's video, I'm going to tell you exactly what are the things that make people gain weight, right? So the first one is they are bored and they binge eat. Right, I'm sure you guys know what binge eating is, and it's basically just eating food without you actually being hungry. It's just you want to get that quick dopamine hit of like food, so you end up eating food, right? Now, the reason why I think most people binge eat is because throughout their day, right, if they're not busy, they tend to want to look for something that's going to give them that sense of dopamine hit, right? We all crave dopamine, right? Our brains always crave dopamine. That's why everybody's either on their phone scrolling, watching Netflix, or eating fast food. And it's because they get that like quick dopamine hit, right? So I believe that, and I know this is true because I experienced it myself, people who gain weight, they tend to not have a very active life, right? They just live their day kind of not really organized or not really prepared. So they tend to have a lot of free time, right? And then in that free time, because they are bored and don't have anything that stimulates their dopamine in their day, they look to food. They look to food to give them that sense of dopamine hit, right? And that causes binge eating, right? So I think, and I know because I experienced myself, people gain weight because their lives are, not as stimulating. So they turn to food because food gives you that, like, first of all, quick dopamine hit, and it gives you that, like, really, like, delicious. It fulfills you basically, right? It fulfills you basically. When you eat like a really good food or some sort of snack, it's nice. It tastes good, right? So I feel like most people get fat because they binge eat too much, right? They really do, right? Especially like snacks. You know what I'm saying? So I think people get fat because they are bored and they binge eat. Now, how do you stop binge eating? Well, get busy, bro. All right, hit the gym, read a book, go on a walk, right? Make money, right? Talk to people, be social, right? Plan out your meals, right? Don't buy any snacks or any junk food. Like I don't want to see any sort of like snacks or some cookies in your pantry. Hell no. No snacks, bro. So that's one of the reasons. The second one is the reason why most people are fat and say fat is because they have no real goals or inspirations in their life, right? I can speak from my own experience. I remember during quarantine when I was like, I was pretty fat or I had like boobs or whatever. I remember that there was nothing really that inspired me to just want to lose weight, right? I really had nothing that inspired me to want to lose weight, right? Like, yeah, I knew I needed to lose weight, but there was really nothing that really like pushed me or motivated me or inspired me to like want to just fix my whole life around. There really wasn't that one thing that really inspired me. And so because there wasn't that one thing that inspired me, I just decided to stay the same. I decided to continue eating, continue letting the bad habits, and continue just gaining weight, right? But it wasn't until where I reached middle school where I began to actually get more inspired, right? I began to see like, certain influencers show their physique, show how they live, show how they live better lives when they get fit and they get jacked and go to the gym. And with me seeing that, as a 14-year old, 13-year old, that inspired me. That inspired me to make a change in my life and in my health, my mentality and physique, right? And because I got that inspiration, I began to step into the arena, and well, I began to take health serious. I began to eat better. I began to go to the gym more often, go on more runs, and just overall change my whole life around, right? Complete 360, right? So complete 180. That's how you say it. But yeah, so for me, I feel like having goals and inspiration is so important because if you don't have anything that inspires you, you're not going to want to actually take action or improve, right? I promise you this, those people who have some sort of inspiration or someone that inspires them or some sort of goal that they're trying to reach, they are more likely to take action, they are more likely to improve, and they are more likely to succeed compared to the person who has no goals and no inspiration, right? So I feel like I know this. I don't know why I'm saying I feel like, but I know for a fact that people are fat and stay fat is because they don't have any sort of inspiration in their life. They don't have anyone motivating them, nor do they have anything motivating them, right? So I think one of the reasons why most people are fat and stay fat is because they have no goals. They have no inspirations. And that's why it's very important to get inspired by people, right? And to have goals, right? Because if you don't have goals, then you don't really have much in your life going on. So having goals and having someone that inspires you is super important. Because when you have someone who inspires you and that person tells you to take action, you are most likely going to take action, right? Now, the last thing that I know that causes people to stay fat forever and causes people to, you know, stay fat and not reach their full potential is their environment. So, environment is so important, right? Because think about it like this. If your environment is just people who don't care about improving, they're overweight, they have acne all over their face. They play Pokemon Go. They play Clash Royale. They watch AI slop, brain rot. Like, if those are the people that you're surrounded by, what do you think you are going to eventually do and want to do? Do exactly what those people around you are doing, right? Now, let's say, for example, you are surrounded by people who make money, go to the gym often, eat healthy, they read books, they discuss business and relationships and health. And if you were to hang out with those people, you are most likely going to pick up their habits and you are most likely going to do the things they do, right? That's why your environment is so important, right? There's this very popular phrase that goes, you hang out with two smokers, you'll be the third. You hang out with two rich people, you'll be the third, right? And it's so true. Your environment is so important. The people who you hang out with, the people who are you surrounded by are very important, right? And if you're surrounded by people who are not ambitious, people who bring you down, people who don't inspire you, people who are not consistently wanting to level up in their life, if you're with those people, then you're gonna most likely follow their footsteps, right? So environment is very important. I'm actually gonna go to this extent to say that I think if you really want to make a significant change in your life, I think even moving out of your hometown is is so valuable, right? Like this is something I really want to do, and I probably will do it one day, God willing. But I want to move out of my hometown, which is the San Fernando Valley, California, and I want to go to Bali because I heard Bali is a place where there's digital nomads. Everybody is healthy. Everybody goes on runs. Everybody's like logged in, right? And well, I want to go there, right? Because I want to surround myself with people who also want to level up in life and want to just reach their best potential, right? So yeah, I mean, if you can do that, definitely do it, right? I haven't done it yet, but I know people who have done it, and they only had positive things to say about it, right? So the people who you hang out with are very is very important, right? And if you're surrounded by people who aren't helping you level up in life, simply man up, grab your freaking balls, right, and leave, right? And if you don't want to leave, then okay, that's fine, but just know that you'll stay average forever. You're gonna waste more time, and you're gonna reach your goals late in life, right? And remember this: time, it flies, goes by fast, right? It was literally just January 1st, like a couple months ago. Now it's August. Now it's August 14th. But yeah, time flies, man. Time is of the essence. The one thing you can't buy back is time, right? It just goes by like this, right? There's this phrase that goes, "The graveyard is full of men who thought they had more time," and that's very true. The graveyard is full of men who thought they had time. They thought they had enough time, so they postponed things and and then eventually they ended up dying, right? So understand this: you don't have much time, all right? So leave whatever group you're in that isn't inspiring you. Leave that group that just doesn't want you to improve and they're putting you down. Leave that group, bro. I'll tell you a little quick story. When I was a freshman in high school, I'm a senior right now. Oh, good to God. My freshman year of high school, I was hanging out with, no offense, a bunch of guys who didn't even care about their health, fitness, mindset, nothing. They didn't care. All they cared about was talking about video games and some random girl they like that they're too afraid to go up to, right? Those were the people who I was hanging out with freshman year. And because I was hanging out with these people, I was picking up their habits, right? They were talking about Clash Royale. Guess what I did? I ended up playing Clash Royale too, right? But eventually, I ended up leaving that friend group, right? Because I realized, yo, I don't want to spend my whole all my 4 years of high school with these knuckleheads who are just not focusing on improving and leveling up. So I decided to man up and leave that group, and then find a new group. And well, thank God I actually found a new group. And this new group, they actually care about their health, right? They go to the gym often and they focus on eating healthier. And because I'm hanging out with these people, I'm actually leveling up as well in my gym and my fitness and my health, right? So it's awesome, right? But I would have never been in that group if I would have not had the courage to leave and find a new group, right? So you have to have that courage, right? And most people don't have that courage because they're too afraid. Oh, I don't want to be alone. Bro, for my first half of sophomore year, I actually hung out alone for a little bit. I hung out alone because I was like, dude, I don't want to force myself to hang out with people I don't like to hang out with, right? And well, sophomore year, I was, you know what, freaky, I'm just gonna hang out alone, and I did. And I did for like a couple of weeks, and I learned a lot about myself hanging out on my own for a couple weeks. I learned that a lot of times we care so much about the perception of others. It's insane, bro. Like, I realized that actually hanging out alone is nice because you don't have to worry about any sort of like person making a comment. You don't have to worry about having to continue the conversation when you're with someone, right? So that I decided to go extreme, right? Obviously, you don't have to, but I decided to hang out alone because I wanted to really see how it felt like, right? And I think hanging out alone for a certain amount of time is good. You get some time to reset, you get some time to focus on yourself and improve, right? But yeah, the whole point, right, that I'm trying to say is your environment is super important, and the people you hang out with will either inspire you, uplift you, or bring you down and uninspire you, right? So your environment is super important, all right? And for your task, what I want you to do is I want you to figure out who are the people you hang out with most oftenly, right? And if those people that you hang out with, if they're not helping you level up or improve in any aspect of your life, I think it's time you leave them, bro. Right? Man to man, I think it's time you leave them because if you're just wasting your time with these people, you're gonna waste your whole life, right? And time is of the essence, right? You don't have much time. So you either act now or waste 4 years of your life doing absolutely nothing and spending time with people who, first of all, you don't even like, and you don't even care about them, right? So you choose, bro. I'm telling you what I did, and it worked out beautifully. But you choose, bro. All right. I'm not your daddy. I can't make decisions for you. But what I can do is I could give you advice, and I could give you advice like man to man, right? And that advice is, bro, leave that friend group you're with, right? If that friend group is not inspiring you, then freaking leave, bro. All right, leave and go find a new group or hang out alone for a while, right? But your environment is super important. If the people around you are not uplifting you, are not pushing you to improve, you gotta leave. All right, simple as that. But yeah, those are the three things that makes people stay fat, right? And these are the reasons why most people are fat and don't ever get shredded. Is because number one, they binge eat because they're bored. Number two, they have no goals or inspiration in their life, no one to inspire them or no one that inspires them in their life, and they have no goals. And number three, their environment is horrible, right? The people they hang out with don't inspire them, don't uplift them. Instead, the people they hang out with bring them down, and the people they hang out with uh, don't want to level up either, right? So these are the three things that make people stay fat for forever, right? And it's kind of, and it kind of sucks saying forever because like, it kind of sucks being fat forever if you think about it. Like, imagine being fat forever. That would really suck. But yeah, that's why most people are fat. All right, I just told you guys the three reasons why. And honestly, there's so much truth to what I said. And if you take a look at those people who are overweight, I promise you you'll see at least one of the things that I mentioned that they do and that they have. So yeah, that's the video. Please, if you're watching this right now, if you watch to the end, please go to the gym, watch what you eat, and just focus on getting shredded and getting jacked. All right, because your body is a temple, and you must take care of your temple. And it would be a great sadness if you get to the age where you couldn't see your fullest potential, right? There's this quote that goes, um, "Man will never know how great his body can become if he doesn't work for it." I think it goes something like that, but yeah, basically just reach your fullest potential and don't be fat, right? Get shredded, get jacked, eat healthy, look good, stay sharp, and yeah. If you guys are wondering why I speak a little bit like weird, is because I have a huge blister in my tongue, so I can't really speak well. But even though I can't even speak well, I'm still making a video. Like, dude, the amount of dedication that I have is insane, bro. I don't think there's anybody right now that has the amount of dedication that I have, right? Everybody else focus on the short-term gratification, right? It's pretty crazy. But yeah, guys, get jacked. And if you're fat and you're watching this, um, hit me up. We'll talk about how to lose weight, how to get jacked, how to get shredded, and how to eat better and how to look better. All right. And if you're jacked watching this, keep doing what you're doing, bro. All right. Keep doing what you're doing. You're making your family proud. You're making your ancestors proud. All right. That's the video, guys. If you watched to the end, thank you so much. And as always, I believe in you, but God believes you more. I will see you guys in the next one. God bless. See you guys. Mwah.